Since you guys reminded me 24,000 times that we got 24,000 employees, I do want to tell you guys a funny story about that because how different it is now with AI. When we started, we had a handful of people in a little office. And since we had such a small group, I told my assistant, just bring lunch in every day, right? It's just a few people when we were launching. And so we would buy lunch every day for our people and just put food out on the table. And I remember a day that I came back from a meeting and I came into the lobby of the building, and I guess we rented out our lobby to some big company because there was like, I don't know, hundreds of people in the lobby and food everywhere having some big event. And my assistant was walking in with me and I said, "Did you rent out the building?" And she said, "No, why?" And I said, "What's with the big party and all these people?" She said, "Those are your employees." I didn't know any of those people it grew so fast. And I remember asking her, I said, "Where did all that food come from?" And she said, "When we had like 20 people, you told me to buy lunch every day. You never told me to stop." So I think our biggest expense wasn't tech. It was feeding 24,000 people, not literally, but it was amazing how then everything, the complexity of the business wasn't tech. The complexity was managing people. But that part was way harder than everything that you just saw, believe it or not. So that's good news that we can scale way faster now and in a much different way than we had to build all of this worldwide, one person at a time almost, in one interview. It's literally a whole different world now. In fact, I decided one day, since I didn't know any of our people, we were in a 25-story building, the whole building. And so I did this idea. I said, every day when I come back in, I would just pick a floor of the building randomly, and I would just go walk around the floor and meet people. And the first time I did, I went up to a young lady that was in customer service and started talking to her, and she called security and said, "There's a weird man at my cubicle, and I'm trying to work. Can you guys come and get him?" It's just a different world now. All right, so I want to talk about why we're doing this, why we're here. For me, I can talk about why I'm here as well. And it's because you look for, in an industry, what you look for is inflection points. Inflection points means the moment everything changed, where there's a new opportunity. So for me, I've always had this thing where I actually hate going to sleep because while I'm sleeping in the US, someone here in Asia did something really cool and I missed it, right? As soon as I wake up, I'm wondering what happened in the world that I should know about, that I should jump all over. The people that win in the industries are the people that see what's happening before it happens. And so in order to see what's happening before it happens, that means that you're looking for the intersection of a whole bunch of different trends. And I was always looking at the intersection between where the technology changed, right? I had this thing on my wall. Actually, my employees made a t-shirt because I would say this every morning. I would say, what can we do today that we couldn't do yesterday? Every morning. What can we do today that we couldn't do yesterday? Because some new tech changed or some trend in the customer, the traveler changed and no one has jumped on it yet. That's what attracted me to this. When you first called me and showed me, and I'll explain a little bit more. I was kind of retired, but when I saw, and now with you guys and the way the team has come together and Helix and Sleep and all the pieces, the partners, the way things are coming together, it's coming together the way that I was told it was going to happen, and it's really excited. But let me explain that a little bit. So for me, I constantly look to see what's changing in the tech world, but here's the important thing. Like you guys know this, in the same way that when the internet bubble crashed, 90-something% of all the internet companies died. You know why? Because they didn't really have a business case. They didn't really have a customer. They didn't have good use cases. We all know that's going to happen in AI. When I go out there and listen, I hear all these people can tell me everything about the way the AI works and nothing about the actual market, right? I'm like, okay, who is the customer? What is their business? What is their business trying to achieve? Everybody's focused on the wrong end. You're focused on the AI and not what the customer actually cares about or needs. So we're going to have I ask so many of these AI companies, again, for a use case, and it's just dead silent because they don't know the traveler, they don't know the travel trends, they don't know the market. I'm just picking that industry, in any particular industry. So you have to be simultaneously mapping the change in the consumer, the customer at the end of the food chain, with the changes in technology, not just one side or the other. That's why we're putting together what we're putting together here, so that we can really represent this next generation of traveler, as well as really employ all the best technology tools to meet in the middle, so the traveler, not us, the traveler says, this is the best travel experience I've ever had. And that's what other companies are not doing. On the consumer side, for example, no one in travel predicted the digital nomad. The digital nomad is a customer category that no travel company has in it because it just happened, right? That's the cool part. When something just happens, you want to be first into that. We got to do that because we created the technology. I was looking, well, I'll tell you guys quickly the experience that I had. I was buying something on the internet, right, early on, and then, so that's the tech side. Then I went over to the customer side, and I was the customer. And I actually called a travel agent at the time, and I said, I need a ticket. I need to fly Chicago to New York. And this travel agent, I said, I want to go on the 4 o'clock. And this travel agent said to me, there's a 3 o'clock on Delta and a 5 o'clock on Delta. And I said, that's right, but I want the 4 o'clock on American. And she said, well, sir, I can book you at 3 on Delta or at 5 on Delta. And I said, okay, but I want the 4 o'clock on American. And she didn't say anything. And I said, you're reading the screen, I can't see it. I said, however, I know there's a 4 o'clock on American because I flew it last week. And you know what she said? She said, okay, fine. And I said, what do you mean, okay, fine? You were not going to tell me the flight I wanted. You know why? Her commission on Delta is high. Her commission on American is not. So she was not representing me. So I remember at that moment saying, there's a big gap between what the customer wants, I want the best deal for me, not for you, the agent, and what the technology can do. So that was the moment we said, you know what the solution is? Online booking. Let's create technology that lets you see the screen, you pick the flight, and realizing just like AI, we cost millions of travel agents their jobs because they weren't doing the job they needed. So now we're at this point again. All of a sudden there's a customer called a digital nomad who travels in a different way than a leisure traveler or a business traveler, and there's not really a product for those people. We not only have the way Gen Z travels, but we're about to have Generation Alpha, who, when you talk to them, have a whole different belief in how they want to see the world, what they want to experience, how they want to travel, how they want to be rewarded. So we have a change in the customer, which is good. New customer, new market, new definition, and the current tools, as you guys said, do not support that traveler well now. So that's one exciting thing about what we're doing here is we're deep into understanding who the future of travel is, what they want, how they want to experience it. Now, on the other side, you look for the companies that figure out how to bring the pieces of travel technology together. For me, I swear, I think every travel startup everywhere on the planet, I get the pitch somehow. All I do is hear pitches about travel. But if you look at all the different pieces, if you start with AI agents, right? I see companies building AI agents, but that's all they're doing for travel. Embedded payment systems. There's people working on embedded payment for travel. Digital identity. There's people working on digital identity where your status moves with you. I see people working on tokenized reward systems and loyalty for travel. Then I see people working on personalized recommendation systems. These are all companies doing all different parts. And I think you said in the past, people went to 38 websites to book a trip. The way it's going, you're going to be using 17 different companies still because they're all building a piece of it. What we're doing unique here is saying we're going to wrap everything you need, all those pieces. What attracted me to StayNex was the fact that we're going to bring all those technologies into this ecosystem and make that one seamless community for the travelers. So you'll take advantage of all those things you need for your whole travel life. Everything will be in one place, from your digital identity to your personalized recommendation to your tokenized rewards, everything in one place. So I just wanted to take a few minutes and share with you guys. I answered the call. Part of it was the hot pot. You promised me hot pot for every meal. We were in China enjoying that. But because I got excited about a company that had a vision, right? That's what these partnerships about, that said, we understand the entire 360 of travel. The traveler, the technology, the ecosystem, the future. If we put that all together, we have the next generation of what travel looks like, and that's just really excited to me. And so you saw the progress that's been made already. I'm excited about it. I not only, like I said yes to something when I was kind of retired, but literally the day before yesterday, I flew here to talk to you guys because I'm a big believer and I'm excited about this. So we want to do this. We need all of you. We want to do this together. But it's another chance, 24,000 employees or not. I don't hate the fact that when I run into people, they talk about how often they use booking.com every day, right? We gave them a better way than they had, and I'm proud of that. For me, by the way, the first product I created in travel before that, you used to have to go, well, I'll tell you guys real quick. I was standing in line in an airport in the days when you had to wait for a ticket agent to give you a boarding card. You stood in line, and the ticket agent gave you the boarding card. And there was hundreds of people in the airport, and I missed my flight because the line was so long. And meanwhile, on the way home, I went to an ATM. When I'm going to the ATM, I'm like, wait a minute. I don't have to go to the bank. I can just go to this machine. So why do I have to talk to the airline in the airport? Why don't they have something like the ATM? And I went home that day, took out a pencil and started drawing. And the self-service kiosks that you guys use to check in, that was my first invention. So in the same way now, I see those kiosks in every airport in the world, and I say, hey, we did something that made the life of travelers better. Then we did it again with the internet, with booking.com, and said you can book your own travel and you don't have to pay the agent commission or go through all that hassle of calling all those different hotels, etc. Now we have a third and even bigger chance for all of us together to look back and say, remember travel before us? That's what we want you guys to go on this journey with us, right? I want to look back one day and say, man, remember what it looked like at the beginning? And now look at travel after StayNext. We helped create the next generation of how people travel. So we're all excited. We hope you guys are. And thank you guys very much for giving us some of your time today.